Here we are, in the troubling times for a community whose genesis lies in rejection of racism, and whose raison d'etre is binding people together with the power of common faith. But rest assured, for we are not devoid of the final frontier, whose light sends signal of hope to those dwelling in despair and pain. It was the city-state of Medina, grounded in evolution, that aimed at bringing about a revolution in the international politics of the time, challenging political communities from empires to kingdoms, with its own enticing ideology of no God but God, and succeeding to immense proportions in making its place in what seemed to be an impossible political battleground of the time. It was undoubtedly a divine mission whose torchbearer was prophetic leadership, continuously in touch with the divine. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, starting from scratch, marked this revolution through a city-state of Medina in the international politics. In the contemporary history, even after the advent of Westphalian order, Ottoman Caliphate in Turkey was leading Muslim nationalism in international system. Its demise brought a blow to the Muslims across the globe, as secular Westphalian order began to penetrate Muslim states one after another, with no hope of ideological reversion. The moment of demise of the Ottoman Caliphate in Turkey, years before emergence of Pakistan on the global map, was actually a moment of paradigm shift in the Muslim world. The pioneer of the idea of Pakistan, Dr. Allama Iqbal, referred to this shift in the following words: अगर उस्मानियों पर कोह गम टूटा तो क्या गम है कि खूने सद हजार अंजुम से होती है सहर पैदा. If a mountain of grief collapsed upon the Ottomans, then grieve not, for the dawn arises from the blood of 100,000 stars. His referral to a paradigm shift in the Muslim world became a reality in the form of Pakistan's existence that brought about resurgence of Islam in the international politics once again, this time in the nation-state system. The fact that the new state in subcontinent originated on Muslim nationalism as its raison d'etre manifested that all was not lost for Muslims in the arena of international politics, and that the state could very well become Islam's final frontier if its Islamic identity thrived. On August 14, 1947, a state appeared on the map of the world with the replication of Medinan model, defying racism and territorial nationalism with its claim for being a nation-state, yet a Muslim homeland. Unparalleled was the shunting of no God but God for the campaign of nation-state of modern times. For the post-Westphalian order spared no room for such ventures. Pakistan, what it came to be known as in the aftermath of March 1940, vowed to stitch Muslims of the subcontinent under a single banner of an ideology which echoed in principle the prophetic message. In 1949, with the passing of an objective resolution, it confirmed it was different and ambitious, for it granted sovereignty over the entire universe to Allah Almighty alone. This was a peculiarity, a uniqueness hitherto unknown in the modern nation-state system, which granted religion no role other than a cultural force acting in the private space of communities. Pakistan united people on the basis of common faith, defying tribalism and racism. Whether or not Pakistan would survive was a serious question posed as the country's existence dwindled, and the critiques from the opposing camp, that was India, believed it to fall like a house of cards, merely because it could not hold up to its promise of uniting Indian Muslims under an ideology which they believed was false from its origin. A blow came to Pakistan's claim in 1971 when its eastern wing separated on the basis of territorial nationalism, and a new state was born with a different identity from that of Pakistan's. This motivated the House of Cards theory that Pakistan was bound to collapse and had to integrate within India, but things did not go south for the oldest Islamic republic since then, much to the chagrin of such theorists. May 1998 was the beginning of a new era, for Pakistan went nuclear against all odds, operationalizing balance of power despite being much less powerful against its arch rival in the East. Pakistan's nuclear deterrence began to frustrate its neighbors in the east. For conventional superiority over Pakistan would not bully it anymore. The quest for Indian hegemony and dominance in the region, metaphorically removing the frontiers in the subcontinent under Indian banner and literally making them useless, now had a challenge in the form of Pakistan, which would not accept India's benign preponderance. Things could settle between India and Pakistan if the latter opted for a secular identity based on territorial nationalism devoid of the doctrine "no God but God," which made it a Muslim homeland. For the purpose, India had come up with multiple strategic visions towards Pakistan, with Nehruvian being the most benign and the hyper-realist being the most aggressive, that aims at complete destruction of the state of Pakistan, synonymous with the realist paradigm of international politics. However, this is not the entire exegesis of the state's behavior. Not only does Islam penetrate the culture and community in Pakistan, it penetrates the decision-making too. Hence, its foreign policy is not always a product of rational cost-benefit analysis. There are decisions and stances which are not to be explained by the realist paradigm and cannot be analyzed and understood without granting Pakistan's Islamic identity its due significance. From denial of Israel's existence as a state to involvement in the Bosnian War in aiding Muslims in an alien neighborhood, Pakistan's Islamic identity is a staunch reality. Pakistan's existence was not an accident, and its strengthening position with respect to power in international politics is not for nothing. As long as Pakistan's nuclear deterrence remains intact, its potential to operationalize its ideology in terms of reforming the economic and education system remains guarded. Therefore, Pakistan's nuclear deterrence not only is nefariously portrayed evil by the neighbor next door, but also the global heavyweights who, to their fortune, can successfully run systematic campaigns through unparalleled control over international media in order to achieve their objectives. How Pakistan responds to this information war challenge is a serious question that needs to be dealt efficiently, particularly by the youth of the country. Pakistan's role as the final frontier of Muslim nationalism is about to be manifested in the upcoming times, particularly in the South Asian and Central Asian region. Its significance as a shelter for Muslims remains unchallenged as a hyper-nationalist leader willing to annex and capture Pakistani-controlled territories governs a country of 1.3 billion on the basis of populism. In these challenging times, it must be kept into consideration that Pakistan is facing a new reality next door which it has hitherto not dealt with, a new India that is not in fact secular and whose survival lies in sticking to its ideological roots which enjoy popular support. For Pakistan's opposition, compelling Pakistan to drop its official doctrine of the two-nation theory via actual use of force or threat of use of force will be counterproductive, for this is bound to activate Pakistan's role as the final frontier of Muslim nationalism. In other words, resistance will only embolden Pakistan's identity, just the way Dr. Iqbal wrote a century back, "Musalman ko musalman kar diya tufan maghrib ne, tala tumhaye darya hi se hai, gohar ki sairabi." The storm in the west made Muslims Muslims. Pearls are produced in abundance from the very buffetings of the sea. Please don't forget to subscribe our channel. Thank you very much. Like, watch, comment on this video and share it as much as possible. Thank you.